Hello, people. Oh man, it is so good to be back with you guys. And that's been a very long time since I've done an episode of this show. This was originally just something experimental, but oh man, now I have the perfect excuse to bring it back. Welcome to No Singles Allowed. Oh yes, this is the show where I just, every now and then I like to just go to the movies by myself, of course, and just see a fucking flick of some kino or whatnot. And man, as you can tell, I mean, because let's face it, everybody is talking about the Joker, and this is obviously incelcore to the max. I mean, this shit right here, and I just got back from watching it like a few hours ago, and I get on R9K, and it really on R9K, people have been talking about it all week, and I'm sure other people like it's all over other websites, but I feel like a big part of that is because it's kind of tied into this whole incel hysteria. This is kind of considered like an incel movie, and at first I was like, maybe that's a stretch. Maybe they're just kind of like falsely tying this movie with the whole incel bullshit that's going on the internet. But man, this really is an incel movie. I mean, it almost makes me think that like it's not a coincidence. Like, this movie is more of a reflection of our times than we might even realize. But let me just talk about the movie. Let's get right to it and talk about the actual movie. Now, this movie is called Joker. I'm sure you all know who the Joker is. He is pretty much like the most famous villain from the Batman series. And this movie is pretty interesting because it's not a typical superhero film. Well, obviously, because Joker's not a superhero, he's a super villain. But even then, like, you remember Suicide Squad, like that was like the villain movie, and it was just over the top explosions and guns and bang bang and this and that. Like, this is nothing like that. Like, this is a villain movie, but it's not like just action packed big sets and explosions and car chases and aliens and robots and all that. Like, it really is more of a psychological thriller drama type of film. Like, in this movie, you really get to see like how Joker slowly descends into the madman that we all know him to be. Of course, I'm sure you guys know he's played by Joaquin Phoenix, wonderful actor. But I'm gonna just do a little plot summary real quick. Now, when the movie begins, Joker, he's pretty much just this mentally ill man he's living with his mom, and he's working as a freelance clown in Gotham. And right in the beginning of the movie, like, he's doing his little job, dancing around, all that and shit. And these kids, like, they smack the sign out of his hand and they steal it, and he goes running after them. And they end up ambushing him in an alley somewhere. They beat the fuck out of him. And really, like, it's just, that scene is meant to be like kind of showing you what the times are like in Gotham. Like, it's just bad. Like, it's violence. People don't give a fuck. He's mistreated. So immediately you get to see that he's going through things. He's kind of on the edge. Immediately you get the picture that this guy is not, he's not having a very good time. The entire city is just in chaos and everything is just crazy. And he's just sort of stuck in the middle of it as a mentally ill nobody. Again, he's living with his mom, and it seems like he has a good relationship with his mom. Definitely a mama's boy, but I can't talk because I'm a mama's boy as well. And they seem like they have a pretty good relationship where he's kind of just taking care of her. Like, she acts as sort of someone that he can connect to and talk to and care for and kind of keep him grounded. So I would say that she's sort of a positive influence in his life at this point. Now, one of his friends at work ends up giving him a gun because he's well aware of how violent it is in Gotham. And so I guess out of the kindness of his heart, he gives Arthur a fucking gun. And this comes into play later. But alongside working his job as a freelance clown, living with his mom and whatnot, he's also going to therapy because he's suffering from depression and various other mental illnesses. He's on 7 different medications, and he has this like laughing disorder where he just laughs for no apparent reason, like just this crazy laugh. I mean, I gotta say, man, what that laugh that Joaquin does, that Joker laugh, is out of this fucking world. That shit is hilarious. I love it. I can't do it, but man, he must have practiced that for hours because it was gold. And oh man, the director had to be like, he's the man, because that laugh he does is beautiful. So all this is going on, and kind of in the background, like Thomas Wayne, the father of Bruce Wayne, is running for mayor. Like that's kind of what's going on. Like kind of like behind the scenes. You know, you kind of see on TV that Thomas Wayne is running for mayor. He wants to deal with the crime and the chaos in the city and whatnot. Also, Joker, I'm calling him Arthur for the sake of the movie. He meets this girl while he's on the elevator. She's like this black single mom, super cute. They share a little funny moment together, and then kind of begin going on like dates and hanging out and whatnot. So even though shit is crazy right now, it's like he's still kind of like certain things are kind of going right for him. He's trying to be a comedian, and he gets like a gig, like a stand-up gig, because he ends up getting fired from his job because he took the gun that his friend gave him to like this children's hospital, and it fell in front of everybody, and his boss found out and he got fired. So that was that. And I believe that same night he gets on a train and he sees these 3 rich snobbish guys. They're picking on this girl. And then he ends up breaking out in this fit of laughter, like, and so they immediately divert their attention to Arthur. So they bully him, they pick on him, they beat him up and whatnot. And the whole time I'm sitting there like, I hope he has that gun. I was like, bruh, I hope he has that gun right now. I want to see him just shoot the fuck out of these. And sure enough, you just hear bang, and he shot the guy in the head, and you see the blood just gush out of his head, and it splatters against the interior of the subway train. It was beautiful. And then he kills the other guy, and then he shoots the other guy in the leg, and he's like chasing him around the subway train, and he gets out of the subway train, and he's running up to the stairs, and Arthur catches up to him and shoots him in the back, and then bang, bang, just oh man, I got a little bit too excited about that, but I like that scene. But and it's pretty much all downhill from there. Like, I feel like that's the moment where he really snaps. I think that's the moment where he kind of just stops giving a fuck. Because immediately after that, the first thing he does, he goes to the apartment of the girl that he's kind of been hanging around with, and he kisses her, and that kind of just, I guess sort of as an indicator is like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do now. I just killed 3 people. I'm probably gonna go to jail. Let me go fuck this bitch. But yeah, from there it's pretty much all downhill. It's like a slow descent into madness for our friend Arthur, and you get to see him become the Joker. But I'm not gonna just talk about I'm not gonna just detail the whole fucking plot here. I'm sure you guys, you probably want to see the movie yourself. But now I am gonna talk about like general themes and significant moments. So I am going to pretty much spoil the fuck out of this movie. So if you don't want any spoilers, then this is the time to get out. Right then, I just kind of summed up the basics. But now I'm about to really get into the nitty gritty of this movie and what it's all about and what I like about it and whatnot. Okay, so right now I'm gonna just talk about the themes and the subject matter of this movie. Now, one thing I found interesting about it is that you really get to see how one by one his support system sort of just falls apart. Like first he loses his job, so now you don't have income, so you got to kind of fall back on this pipe dream of being a comedian. And dog, man, that was just horrible. You see, when he finally got on stage, he spent more time laughing than telling jokes. The city cuts funding for the social programs, so now he can't have his therapy sessions and he doesn't have access to his various medications that he's on. So again, another support system gone. Then the girl that he thought he was in a relationship with turned out to be just a delusion. I mean, and this was, man, that was one of the craziest parts to me. Like this whole time you're thinking like Arthur is in this relationship with this girl when in all actuality it was all in his head. The whole time he was just imagining that they were going out on these dates and making love and sharing these moments together, when really all he did was share that one moment with her on the elevator. And man, I hate to say it, but now I can't relate to that extent because I feel like he was really like really believe like they were in some type of relationship. I think he was just that far mentally going. But I've definitely had those moments where I might have had like just one little positive interaction with a girl, and I sort of just replay it again and again in my head, and then I imagine what it's like to be with her. What would it be like to have sex with her, to be in a relationship with her, to hang out and all that. And I kind of imagine like that was what those scenes represented, like him, meeting this girl, but not having the balls to actually take it any further than that, to actually approach her and try to make something out of it, which probably wouldn't have worked anyway. Let's be real, this nigga's fucking crazy. But yeah, again, like that, even though it turned out to be a delusion, again, that's part of his support system is gone. Then he finds out that his mom adopted him and allowed him to be abused by her boyfriend and was really just as crazy as he was. I mean, the entire time she was telling this lie to him that Thomas Wayne was his father, and she felt like he could help them or whatnot. And it actually turned out that when she was younger, she had worked for Thomas Wayne or something, and she wanted a relationship with him, but he wouldn't give it to her. So she went through this elaborate scheme of adopting Arthur and saying that he was the love child of Thomas Wayne, and of course that shit didn't work. So now she's just stuck with this kid and doesn't really give a fuck about him and whatnot. And he's been abused by her boyfriend. So just throughout the movie, you see his various support systems just crumble, and how that aids in his slow descent into madness. Which leads me to my next point. I really love how this movie just represents and just showcases the effects of various kinds of mental illnesses. Now, on a lighter note, he has like this laughing condition where he can just burst out laughing at any given time. Like he even has a card that he pulls out that says, "Hi, I have a condition where I laugh out loud." Kind of like, it's like a Tourette's type thing. And it's kind of minor, but at the same time, like those little quirks, like those, like they can, as insignificant as it may seem, little things like that can help isolate you. They make you just a little bit weirder than the average person. Like that's an angle where someone can make fun of you, or that's something that can make you stand out in a bad way in a crowd and stuff like that. And that's something that people really deal with. I don't know about laughing conditions, but of course you got people who got like Tourette's. Some people like they have like sweating conditions where they just sweat really bad. Like I have a stutter. Like I have a stutter. And when I get excited, I tend to stutter, and that can kind of affect my conversations with other people. Where I'm kind of just trying to force out what I'm trying to say, and I can't quite say it. But again, like little things like that can just make you just a little bit more quirky than you need to be in this society. And he talks about how he said he has never been happy for a minute in his life. So obviously he's going through severe depression. Like I mean, and that's really similar to like a lot of things I hear from some of the more depressed guys on like Wiz Chan or 4chan is, like, cause I can relate to a lot of the things that a lot of the people on 4chan, but like as far as my own depression, I've always been more of a bipolar type, like high highs and low lows. So even I can't say like I'm just always depressed, but I do see guys who kind of sound just like that. Like I'm just always depressed. I'm always lonely. I always feel bad, and I don't know what I can do about it. And I can't really relate to that. I have my ups and downs, but at least I have my ups, and I'm definitely on a pretty good up these days. But again, it's just something that is definitely very real in our society, where some people just seem to be hopelessly depressed despite their best efforts, despite medications and whatnot. And that shit is really scary. But then again, this is why people these days are really taking mental illness so much more seriously, because now they can scan brains and measure chemicals and shit and see like, oh, like you can look at this region of the brain and see exactly what's wrong. I mean, that's the time that we live in now. So it's definitely a very real thing where it's just, even though it might not make sense to someone else, it's some people just really are fucked in their head and just cannot be happy, and it's really fucked up. And he has like these hopeful delusions. Like there's a part early in the movie where he's watching his favorite like late night comedy show with his mom, and while he's watching it, he's sort of like imagining himself like if he was on the show and in the studio audience, and he says something witty and clever, and he ends up being called down to rub elbows with the host of the show, and just things like that. Like just a little weird delusional shit like that, and especially imagining life together with that girl, man. Like, and it seemed like again, like, did he know that he was being willfully delusional, or did he really think that these things were going on? And I guess that's just up to the viewer's interpretation of just how far gone he was mentally. But hold on, my alarm just went off. Sorry about that. But yeah, it just makes you wonder, like how aware was he of his own delusion? Did he really believe that they were in this relationship and hanging out? Or was that just his own fantasies? Because even I fantasize about shit like that. I can't even lie. But I know that I'm fantasizing. I don't really think that I'm dating this chick that was nice to me 2 years ago. So, but again, like, this is just another aspect of his mental illness. And obviously he's on various medications. And it seems like he might have an eating disorder. I've looked up depression a couple times, and they say that an eating disorder tends to accompany it, and it tends to manifest itself as either under eating or overeating. And in Arthur's case, he's obviously under eating. I mean, he's just almost grotesquely skinny. I mean, certain scenes, like, it's almost like he's not even human. Like, he's just looking like is this like special effects? I mean, he looks so gross sometimes. But man, I kind of wish I had that, like the no eating. I'm definitely like when I get depressed, I eat too much. Like I'm the overeater, the binge eater, depressed guy when I get sad. But yeah. And also, it kind of deals with class warfare. Now, after Arthur kills the 3 rich kids, it sort of starts this movement, because somehow I guess the streets know that like they interpret it as the poor rising up against the rich. That's how they interpret it. I guess more normal people, more civil, or the rich or upper class, they interpret it as just like mindless killing. But the disenfranchised, poor, unfortunate people, they interpret it differently. They see it like this was a poor guy who just rose up against these rich snobs who didn't even belong in this part of the city. So this just slowly begins to create this movement that kind of boils up in sort of the background of the film as everything is going on with Arthur. It sort of starts as like these innocent demonstrations, but even there, like there's like fighting between the demonstrators and the cops. And the funny thing about it is because the killer, the only thing they knew about him was that he was a clown. The citizens who partake in this protest, they dress up as clowns to sort of, represent as sort of to pay homage to the killer. I mean, it's really fucked up when you think about it. But I mean, I know those guys were assholes, but damn, oh man. And of course, like I said earlier, the entire time, Thomas Wayne is campaigning for mayor. But he's obviously totally disconnected from the people he's trying to govern. You can tell like he doesn't really understand the people, probably doesn't even really care about what's going on. He's just going with the motions of being like this powerful politician type dude. And before Arthur loses his therapist, because he sort of goes on this rant against her, just letting her know that, you never listen to me. You don't care about me. You don't care what I'm going through. And I like what she says as a response. She says that they don't give a damn about you. They don't give a damn about me. And you really got to understand, because I did a lot of research on the criminal justice system and public defenders and whatnot. And what I found out is that a lot of these like public service workers, like they are underpaid and overworked. I mean, it is a big difference between having a lawyer and a public defender, because a public defender has like, they're overwhelmed with clients and just a huge workload, and they're not being paid they're not being paid enough to kind of justify the amount of work that they have to do. Whereas if you got money, you can get a lawyer who can dedicate his time and energy to your situation specifically. And so this is kind of what you see with Arthur and his therapist. She's obviously a public service worker. So she's just going through the motions with, how's work? How do you feel? Having any negative thoughts? And he takes it personally, but I kind of take her side on this guy because I understand the difference between being a public service worker and someone who's like a fucking legit therapist who has your own office and building and all that shit. Like she's just doing it because the city has her doing that shit. But again, like that little conversation just shows like what's kind of going on in the background, like outside of Arthur's own problems and going crazy and all that. There really is a problem within the city where the less fortunate, they're having their benefits and services being cut off. And then you have this guy who wants to be mayor and govern them who doesn't really understand them. So again, that's another aspect of the movie that I like and appreciate, the whole class warfare thing. Okay, next I'm going to talk about some of the more significant moments. Now I'm going to talk about just some of the moments that I felt like were pretty significant and important to the overall film. And now, just to be clear, Batman is in this, but Bruce Wayne, he's still a child. During this movie, this is before Bruce Wayne's parents were killed and all that, so he's still a child in this movie. So you're not gonna see Batman swoop down and and beat up Joker or anything like that. He's still a child. And there's more to it now. Like I said earlier, Arthur's mom, she's under this delusion that Thomas Wayne is the father of Arthur. Now, I'm thinking, I hear that, I'm like, what? Batman and Joker are brothers? I'm like, it goes that deep? I didn't know this part of the Batman lore, but again, it all turns out to be bullshit. Arthur's mom is full of shit. She's a delusional, narcissistic liar. But while Arthur is under the belief that she's telling the truth, he goes and confronts Thomas at some play or something, and Thomas tells him like it's all a lie. Your mom lied. She's full of shit. Now, I like Thomas Wayne because he has like just this alpha male energy. Like even when Arthur confronts him in the bathroom, I expected him to be like a little scared. Like you see this weirdo like come up to you in the bathroom. I expect him to be shit like who the fuck are you? Like who are you, man? Like, he don't even care. And then after telling him that his mom is full of shit, he notices like, hey, this is the guy that came to my mansion and had like met my son and creeped him out, and he just punched him right in the nose. It was like, don't ever touch my son again, and just walked out like a boss. Like I swear, man, like you could tell where Bruce Wayne gets his alpha male energy from. His dad is fucking base, man. But Arthur, he's still kind of in disbelief. He can't believe that his mom would lie to him about something like that. So he goes to the mental hospital and he obtains the records totally legally, I might add, and goes through them and confirms that, yeah, she's been lying this whole time. She adopted him when he was a child just so that she could tell this lie that Thomas Wayne impregnated her and that he was the love child. And once that didn't work out, she's going from boyfriend to boyfriend, and she's abusive of Arthur, and her boyfriends are abusive of Arthur. And I guess the trauma is so severe that he ends up forgetting all this and just believing whatever bullshit she's been telling him all these years. And at this point in the movie, his mom is sick. She had like a stroke. Well, his adoptive mom, is in the hospital. She's sick. She had a stroke. And so he goes to visit her one more time, and then he just grabs the pillow and suffocates her, man. It's just like, fuck you, bitch. You're not my mom, and you abuse me and allow me to be abused and shit like that. So, yeah, it's just Batman. Okay, now also the QT black girlfriend scenes, love interest. Oh, man, this girl is cute as fuck. Damn, I think her name is Zazie Beats. What a stupid name, but damn, man. This is one cute black girl, man. So he meets this black single mom. Had to be a single mom. She had like, you had to cut the value down. Like he couldn't actually be with like a straight up hottie. Like you gotta cut her down a notch. Like make her a single mom. But yeah. He meets her in the elevator, and they share like a little cute moment. Like she's with her kid, and you can tell she had a rough day, and she does like little like hand gun symbol, like kind of pretending to blow her brains out, like I'm going through so much shit. And he kind of copies her or whatnot. It's just a little cute moment, like whatever, like nothing significant. So he begins stalking her. And just following her around town and whatnot. And then she confronts him about it. But she's not upset. She's like, well, if you're going to stalk me and follow me to my place of work, you might as well just go in there and shoot the place up. So okay, she's pretty lighthearted about it. Like she's friendly about it. She's not really creeped out or anything. So you think, all right, so she probably thinks he's cute or whatever. So after he kills the three snobs on the subway train, he goes to her place, kisses her, and apparently they have sex. So you at this point thinking like, okay, it's on. Like, and it makes sense. Like at this point, nothing seems sketchy. It's just like I was like, okay, you met this chick, y'all kind of just see each other every now and then, and You just killed 3 people. You might be going to jail or prison for life. So it's like, what do you have to lose? You might as well just go to her apartment and kiss her and fuck her. And like, so I'm not thinking anything is weird or up. I'm just like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Like he hit the breaking point. He said, fuck it, I'm killing these niggas. I'm gonna go get some pussy now. So it makes sense. And so they go on this big date together. Because after he gets fired, he pursues his dream of becoming a stand-up comic. Totally bombs on stage, by the way. But she's there supporting him, and they go out to eat, and they walk around town. So everything just seems like cute and fun. It's like, okay, he's got like a nice girl by his side. And she's also by his side when his mother first gets sick, like before he knows about all the bullshit, the abuse and all that. So you're thinking like, man, like she's really digging this guy, and he's really digging her, so it's cute. So one night he's in really bad shape and he goes to her apartment. Now I knew like this wasn't gonna end well. So I was like, in my mind, I was thinking like what's gonna happen is he's gonna find out like she's a prostitute, or he's gonna walk in on her being fucked like long dick style and and just gonna be heartbroken. I'm thinking it's going to be like a cuck situation. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought that was what was going to destroy that whole thing. But it turns out they were never actually dating. It was all in his head. Now, I don't know exactly when. Like, in fact, no, I do. I think what actually happened is that he met her on the elevator. They had a little moment, and then he probably stalked her around town. But I don't think that they ever had that confrontation where she confronted him about it, which kind of led to them going out and dating and him kissing her, and like none of that actually happened. It was all in his head. And again, I don't know if he believed this delusion, because the thing is, like I said, he went to her apartment. And again, I thought that he was going to find her getting fucked. But what actually happened, like, she was like, who are you? I don't know you. like you're in the wrong apartment. Like, she was scared to fucking death. Like, this crazy dude is in my apartment. So for him to go to her apartment, you have to wonder, like, did he believe his own delusions? But again, it's not clearly laid out, but that's just what I have to assume. Because to go to her apartment, man, like, look, I've imagined life together with plenty of women, but I've never like found myself knocking on their door thinking like, oh, we're actually in a relationship. So that's what I'm thinking. And he's on 7 different medications. So like, it's very plausible that he really thought that he had something with this girl. So it's kind of sad. And sadly, I can semi-relate to dumb shit like that. At least as far as like fantasizing about being in a relationship with someone. But again, man, that's why I say like this is such an incel fucking movie. Like I said, no pussy, you're gonna kill people. It's just that simple. Okay. Now I'm gonna talk more about the climax. This is a very interesting scene. This is when Arthur gets invited to the television show, his favorite television show, which is hosted by a comedian named Murray, he's played by Robert De Niro. And I just gotta say this real quick. Leading up to the release of this film, it's been compared to Taxi Driver. Now, I've never seen Taxi Driver, but I know it stars Robert De Niro. I know that the basic gist of it, like an average guy kind of on the edge, kind of gets pushed over the edge and does some crazy shit. And that's why it's kind of compared to this movie. Like, and there's even like a little meme picture I saw where it's like, it's the Taxi Driver poster, but with the Joker instead of Robert De Niro. But again, I wonder if the creators of this movie were self-aware about the comparison to Taxi Driver and decided to cast Robert De Niro in this movie. I don't know, but I'm just curious if that's the case. Hold on. Something's going crazy with my audio. Whoa. Okay. Now, back to what I was saying. By this point, Arthur is pretty much gone mentally. He's killed his mom and one of the guys that he used to work with. The cops are closing in on him. And he gets invited to the show because they were making fun of the footage that was taken while he was at the comedy club. After evading the police, he makes it to the show. He greets Murray in the dressing room, and they kind of just exchange pleasantries, like, I'm a fan of yours, or whatnot, this and that. But of course, the whole time, Arthur is planning some crazy shit. He ain't come here to make a special appearance just to get made fun of. He came here to raise a little hell. Now, he comes out just super charismatic. I mean, just dancing. And man, I just want to I got to give Joaquin, is that how you pronounce it? I got to give him props because his little dance moves throughout the movie, oh man, they were really good. Like, this guy can dance. He must have got lessons before he did it. But he does some sweet little dance moves throughout the course of the film. But he comes out dancing like he's in the full Joker getup, white makeup, the smile, and the green hair and the suit. I mean, he's just looking fresh and crazy at the same time. He comes out and he kisses the female guest. It's like a long kiss too, so he's immediately just weird. But at the same time, the crowd loves him because he's so charismatic with it. So he plays along for a while. But then the darkness just starts pouring out of him. Like, he tells this joke is about like just some really bad, like, dark humor joke without a real, like, punchline, and the studio audience, like, they're booing him, like, oh, and Murray's kind of disgusted, and then he admits to killing the 3 snobs live on television. He admits, like, yeah, I killed him. And so from here, he just starts getting into this argument with Murray about the state of society, his actions, and how it's caused so much chaos in the city and whatnot. So they're kind of just going back and forth. And I swear, this is probably one of the most significant moments in the whole movie. And this line in particular, I think he said something like, do you know what happens when you take a mentally ill person, abandon him, and treat him like trash? You get what you deserve. Bang! And he shoots Murray right there live on television. Just blows his brains right out. Then gets up and double taps, like shoots him again like twice in the chest, just for good measure. I mean, just straight up killed the dude on live television. So you can tell, like, he's been planning this. I guess he just figured, everything's falling apart. I ain't getting no pussy. My mom was never really my mom, and I killed her. I killed one of my former co-workers. I'm the clown killer who ignited this big protest and mass rioting throughout the city. The walls are closing in. I'm going to go out with a bang. So I'm going to speak my piece on live television and kill Murray, because he felt like Murray was a part of everything that was wrong too. Because let's be real, like, the whole reason Murray brought him on the show was to make fun of him. He only brought him there just to pick on him. He probably didn't interpret it that way himself, but that's really what it was. He brought him there just to pick on him and get laughs for his fucking show. And that's why Arthur put a bullet in his damn brain. You're just another one of these assholes that's trying to make fun of me. I'm going to take your life, bitch. Ooh. Okay. Now, last significant moment we're going to talk about is Thomas Wayne's murder. And I'm sure we all know that the whole thing, the whole event that started Bruce Wayne on his path to becoming Batman, the vigilante of the night, is the night where his mother and father were killed before his very eyes while he was a child. And that takes place in this actual movie. Now, of course, by the end of the movie, the city is in complete chaos. The combination of the clown killing on the subway, the cop killing one of the protesters while chasing Arthur, and Arthur killing Murray on live TV, it just turns the whole city to a war zone. It's like everything is bubbled up and just spilled over. Everything is crazy. Now, in the midst of the chaos, Thomas Wayne is trying to go see a movie with his family, and one of the clown protesters kills him and his wife, leaving Bruce alone. Now, I think that this whole thing is just interesting to me, because it's like society created Joker, who recreated society, which created Batman. It's like this domino effect where it's like this fucked up society created this fucked up monster that was just so bad that he ended up flipping society on his head and making other people fucked up, and those fucked up people killed this man, which in effect affected Bruce Wayne, who decided, I'm gonna take on this fucked up society. But just seeing like that, just the whole cause and effect of it all, how it just, Joker sort of emerges out of this toxic society, and he makes it worse, which creates fucking Batman. It's beautiful. It's poetry, pottery. Okay, but next I'm gonna talk about my favorite moment from the whole movie. Just the one moment. Now, my favorite moment is, this is the point where Arthur is pretty much, he's basically gone. He's preparing to go, I guess, to the Murray show. Like, he's getting his makeup on and all that. Still, like, kind of in the early stages of putting his makeup on. And then two of his former co-workers arrive at his house because they hear that his mom died. So they want to just console him and give him some support or whatnot. Now, one of the co-workers that comes over, he's like this big guy who actually gave him the gun in the early part of the movie. Now, he's not really there because he cares about Arthur. He's just more concerned about his own skin, because the police have been questioning the guys at the clown gig job place. Is that a real thing? Like a fucking job where it's just full of like clown mercenaries who get like just sent out on different clown jobs? I don't know, but he's more worried about himself because now the cops kind of question him about his relationship with Arthur and the gun and all of that. But he also comes with this other guy who's like a little midget. So again, they come there with drinks and whatnot, trying to make Arthur feel better. But Arthur's like, no, I don't need it. And the big guy just says something that sends Arthur over the edge, because he's always kind of been like somewhat of an asshole, like kind of like low key asshole towards Arthur. Like, Arthur never really liked him anyway. So Arthur, he gets like this like little knife and just stabs the big guy in the neck, like just shanks him right in the neck. I think he stabs him in the eye, and then he falls to his knees, and he just bashes his fucking head against the wall. Just boom, 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 blah, blah. I mean, just brutalizes the guy. And the little midget, he's off in the corner, and he's just like cowering in the fear. He's like, oh no, you killed him! Ah! I mean, obviously he's just terrified because he's this little guy. I mean, there's absolutely no way he can defend himself against Arthur. I mean, Arthur just killed this guy who's twice his size. So how the fuck is he gonna do anything? So Arthur's kind of just laying there on the floor after killing this dude. But he doesn't really have anything against the little midget. Like, the little midget was always nice to him when they worked together. He never like did anything vindictive against him. So he's like, you know what? You can go. But the midget, he's still scared because it's like he just watched this dude just brutalize this guy. And he has to walk past Arthur to get to the door. So, but eventually he's like, all right, I'll go. So he goes to Arthur and he kind of runs past him, goes to the door. He's trying to open the door like as fast as he can, but he can't get it open. And so, the problem was the fucking chain lock was too high for him. So he's trying to get up there, but he can't reach it. So he kind of had to just stop and say, Arthur, can you open the door for me? I mean, it had to be so fucking like you think I'm about to get out and you can't even open the door. So I'm thinking like, man, maybe Joker knew like he couldn't open the door and just waiting to kill him, but he let him go. He really was serious about letting him go. He undid the little chain lock and he kissed him on the head and said, you were always nice to me, you can go. And he just kind of runs out. I mean, but that moment was so fucking funny to me, man, because you could tell that midget just wanted to get the fuck out of there, but then he just can't reach the lock, and he gotta just ask like, oh, can you let me out? That shit was fucking hilarious to me. That's probably my favorite moment throughout the whole movie. Now, I mean, I swear, bro. Like, I was trying not to laugh because I didn't want to be the only asshole in the theater laughing. So I had to like put my hand over my mouth. And I didn't want to pick on a little guy because it's obviously a fucking midget joke. I mean, how old is that? That's real mature. All right, now, finally, I'm just gonna talk about my closing thoughts on this movie. Now, I gotta say it, man. This movie is gonna be a bad influence on society. Like I said earlier, this is really some incelcore. This is incel kino. This is an incel movie up and down, bro. I mean, it really touches base with a lot of things that I talked about on the previous episode of the Botcast, where I talked about mass shootings, the psychology of violence in humans and all that. And when I was going over the various things that might be the various elements that might create someone that would commit a mass shooting or commit these mass acts of violence, and a lot of the reasons that I talked about were in this movie, like not getting pussy. So you see that in his delusional relationship with this girl that he barely knew. No support system, like no connections to family or friends. And you see that his mom, not only does his mom die, but he finds out that she was a fucking maniac and just used him as a way to sort of like get back at Thomas Wayne, loses his job and all that shit. So just again, like no support system and bullying and abuse. I mean, he gets jumped like 2 times in the movie by at first like by these like street kids, and the next time by like these snobbish rich kids. So it's like, again, it's this combination of factors, and of course mental illness, and all these things come together to just create like a fucking monster, man. But at the same time, I like how it sort of answers the question today of why we have all these mass shootings and random acts of violence. I mean, if you're asking why people are so fucked up today, why we have these Sandy Hooks and El Pasos and Elliot Rodgers situations, this movie, watch this movie. Like, it'll show you why we have people like that. I mean, it really is a reflection of what's going on today in our society with the mentally ill, isolated males who have been abused and just really don't know how to cope with life in general. And some of them just turn into absolute monsters and decide to lash out at society. They feel like that's their only option. They just stop giving a fuck and they lash out. And that's really what the Joker kind of represents. And it's kind of funny, but it's crazy to me how Arthur, he becomes the very thing that he hates. I mean, he's created by this toxic environment, this society that doesn't give a fuck and mistreats people, but then he becomes that very thing. He becomes the abuser. He becomes the mistreater. He becomes the I don't give a fuck. And I know some people probably will, but I hope they don't. I don't think, obviously Joker isn't the guy to identify with. The guy to identify with is Batman. I mean, as corny as that sounds, because what Batman does is he takes that negativity and fights against it. Joker, he assimilates with the negativity in order to deal with it. If you can't beat him, join him. But again, I feel like that's sort of giving up. Life just beats the hell out of you, and so like you lash out, but past a certain point, you're no longer lashing out directly at the people that wronged you. Now you're just lashing out at innocents, and that's what you see a lot with these guys who committing mass shootings and all that. Even with like Elliot Rodger, like he killed more dudes than the girls, like just a bunch of like nerdy Asian dudes instead of like the girls that he planned to kill. So it's like, again, and Sandy Hook, like what the fuck is killing a bunch of kids? What is that doing? Again, it's like I understand that society has kind of fucked you up and you don't know what to do, but I just, the thing that always bothered me about that is that it seems like they're lashing out at the wrong people. They're taking their anger out on strangers. And even worse, the worst thing about it is that they become the bullies. They get a gun and go after people who are totally defenseless, children even. So it's like they really become the very thing that they hate, and that's why, again, Batman is really the guy to try to identify with and root for, because he's affected by this negativity in the worst kind of way, but he decides to fight against it, and even more so, not even to stoop to the level of killing. I mean, damn. I mean, this guy's a fucking paragon of righteousness. Oh, man. So, but again, I totally see people resonating with Arthur. Because even I did. Like, on that fucking subway, when he shot those 3 guys, the whole time I was like, shoot him. I like, kill these niggas. Like, it's certain situations, bro, where it's like, fuck it, kill him. Like, I ain't even going for like, that was the moment where I was totally on his side, even though some people like extreme, but honestly, fuck him. Fuck anybody that bullies. Fuck anybody that would do something like that. I don't care what happens. I don't care if you get raped by a spiked dildo until you bleed to death in front of your mom. You do shit like that, you fucking deserve it, and I hope you die the worst kind of death. But past a certain point, like, at the very end of the movie, it's implied that Joker, because at this point he's in the mental asylum and he's sort of talking to this therapist, and it's implied that he basically stumped her to death, because like he's like walking down the hallway and his footprints are all bloody, so it kind of just implies that he just beat her to death. And again, like, now you're past the point of sort of trying to right the wrongs of society and fight back against tyranny. Now you are the tyranny. Now you're just killing innocent people. And again, that's why I said, like, that's why I said this movie probably is going to be kind of a bad influence on society, because his energy is so. I mean, after I left that theater, I had a little extra pep in my step. Like, I was a little extra groovy walking down the street. I was a little extra happy, just a little, And I think some people are probably gonna watch this, and it's gonna. I'm not saying they're gonna just go out and get a clown mask and a gun or whatnot and just start killing. No. I'm just saying that I feel like it's gonna put the idea maybe way back. But I feel like it's gonna place the idea in the back of their mind that if somebody fuck with me, the next time somebody fuck with me, I'm gonna shoot them. I'm gonna blow their fucking brains out. Like, this is that type of movie. Like, this is a movie that is like, look, if nothing else, the next motherfucker that fuck with me, I am fucking with them 2 times harder. And that's what kind of scares me. That's the kind of energy that it kind of puts in you. Like, it's just like, it makes you just not give a fuck. Like, oh man, but I just want to clarify, I don't have any negative thoughts. I'm a positive, upbeat, optimistic young man. But yeah, man, overall, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I liked it. In fact, I would like to watch it again. Man, I can't wait for the cam rips to come out. But yeah, I enjoyed it. If you love incelcore, I'd highly recommend it. I mean, this is the incel movie of the year. Let's just be real. This is the incel movie. That's why I had to cover it. But yeah, man, I enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you've seen it, just leave some comments talking about what you liked about it and how you felt about the movie and my half-ass review of it. But again, I'm glad you guys took time out to watch my review. Yeah, hit that like button if you liked it, and if you hated it, hit the dislike. Like, most people wouldn't say that. Like, most people would say, if you hated it, go ahead, hit the dislike. If I suck, hit the dislike button, and go to next mile, unsubscribe. If I suck that bad, unsubscribe, hit the dislike button, report me to YouTube. Do what you gotta do, man. I'll see you guys later. Ciao.